main man on the main drag of Beaver Falls, 7th Avenue. Ron Main, the reason I exist, the reason I'm here, and why I will always return his phone calls, because I love the effort, what they have done here at the Hall of Achievement. And July 29th, my other friend Jimmy Maganello's got a great evening planned for everyone, themagicalcoach.org. Get those tickets. All right, Ed DeRose is here, Stevie Higgins, but I'm going to let you talk about Mr. DeRose. 1953, grew up with my Uncle Dick, my Aunt Joanne and him together on that wedding altar, and the next thing you know, my Uncle Dick meets my Aunt Joanne, and a year later they get married, and marital bliss continues to this day. Much love to both of them. All right, go ahead. Talk to me about Ed DeRose.
Eddie DeRose and I go back many times. We go all the way back to St. Martin's. Yeah, but Ed has been one of the leaders and instigators and motivators for the Larry Bruno Foundation. It's in his commitment to Beaver Falls, his commitment to the coach, and commitment to our reverence to the folks that we have inducted into the Hall of Achievement. So Eddie, I think I can't say more than that you're the greatest, and I respect you very, very much.
Coaching too, right, Stevie? He loved to coach.
Yeah, you could talk about Eddie's accomplishments, you know, as an adult and in his business life for a long time, but I like to go back to the early 50s when he was one of the top athletes on the local sports scene here in the Beaver Valley area. And they had the 52 Tiger baseball team that's gone down in history as one of the best junior legion and high school teams ever. Only 2 teams made the finals from Beaver Falls, the 52 team and the 1974 Legion team. Ed was a big part of the 52 team. They had Gene Polka Sr., they had Tommy Kirkpatrick.
He's so popular, they just call him anytime, even when he's live to tape. That's okay.
And
You're a busy man. Go ahead, Steve.
they played against some of the best talent. They played against Tito Francona. I'm sure Ed could tell you some stories about Tito. But Ed was a great infielder. He even had a chance to move on. Some scouts wanted him to move on and try out in the pros. But Ed was always kind of business minded, and I think he had a vision of his future, and he stuck to his plan, and it worked out. We all benefited from his plan, because he turned into just a civic dynamo, a business leader, and got involved with youth baseball, sponsoring teams, and he actually managed little league teams and gave a lot back to the community. And not only that, he was the inspiration for the Larry Bruno Foundation. I mean, Ed was the famous quote when we were talking about forming the foundation, when Coach Flory said, hey, you guys need to form this foundation. And we were talking about it, and Ed said, if we don't do it, who will?
Right.
And that kind of resonated, and that was it. We all looked at each other and said, we're going to do this.
We will.
And it was all because of Eddie's inspirations.
Well, Eddie, it's all yours. And first off, I love my Uncle Dick Karen so much, and my Aunt Joanne. He was such a hero of mine growing up, because my dad and my other uncles, they didn't really care about sports, but he did. So he would talk to me about sports. We would embrace conversation in sports, and I really believe that was the foundation that got me to where I am today in broadcasting. He was one of my early mentors. But he was such a jock. Even when he was married, he was playing softball, doing something, and he played catch with you, so I really have a lot of respect for him. But from what he told me about that 11th Street gang of Beaver Falls, that's all you ever did was play sports.
Right. We did play sports, and we got along very well. And Dick was my best friend since we were 3 years of age. We lived close to each other. And Dick played ball together, went to school together, went through St. Mary's grade school. But Dick's forte was a great basketball player. And when we were playing basketball, you threw the ball to Dick, you might as well kiss it goodbye.
You're taking the shots.
Taking his shots.
But talk about why you love coaching young athletes up.
Well, I like to teach. I did like to teach younger kids, and we had good players, and they listened. We had 16 little league teams back then. And the managers all drafted. We had a draft. They come to tryouts. And each team had 16 players, 16 teams with 16 players.
Amazing.
There were still players left over.
Wow, great.
And the team still took them in. And we liked to, no matter what the score was, we wanted every player to get in the game.
It's all about, having an
Yeah.
opportunity, right?
That's right.
Larry Bruno, when you think of Larry Bruno, a lot comes to mind.
Come quite a bit of years before Larry Bruno.
I know, but you were around here when Larry Bruno.
I was around here, Larry. Well, the one thing is Larry used to come to McDonald's every morning for coffee. And we had a group of guys there, and Larry would show some magic tricks there. And
I heard he was a pretty good magician.
he was a magician. And at that breakfast, he never talked much football. He just wanted to be with the guys, have a good time. But Larry, like Carl says, there was nobody like him.
No.
And it was fitting to name this thing after Larry Bruno.
It's amazing. One of my other dear friends, and I know you're well aware of this guy, Joe Walton. Joe actually coached Robert Morris for a number of years until 2013, and I was with the Pine Richland coach, won the state championship last year, John Ladon, who grew up in Aliquippa, and he also played for Joe Walton. This place, this foundation, it's a gift that keeps on giving. Everywhere I go, there's a connection to this Beaver Falls history, and obviously the sports history, and people like Bruno and Joe Walton. But this guy really said, no Joe Walton, who knows where I end up, but more importantly, he goes on to get a state championship in the home of Bill Fralick at Penn Hills. He goes on to get a state championship as well with Pine Richland. So these guys, like a Joe Walton and a Larry Bruno, they were really paving the way for what we're still experiencing today. Success in sports of all kinds and all levels throughout the tri-state, right?
True. Well, Joe Walton was a great friend of mine.
I love that guy.
Well, yeah, so did I.
I know.
So we did many things together. What people look at Joe Walton as football. What people don't know is Joe was a great baseball player. And if Joe would have chosen baseball, he had tryouts with the New York Giants.
In baseball?
In baseball. It was the New York baseball Giants at the time, because they had the New York football Giants and the New York baseball Giants. Well, if Joe would have chose baseball, I think Willie Mays would have had to play left field.
Willie's still alive, by the way, so maybe he's watching this right now.
He
To
was a
say,
good
hey,
singer,
kid.
too.
Oh, Joe was a great singer. It was in a choir at school. But after baseball and before college, Joe wanted to go on a trip just to have a little vacation. So 4 of us jumped in one of the guys. In fact, Don Snowberger and Jimmy Nellis and Joe and I went away. And Joe had friends and relations, and we went to those places. And he had relations in New York, where we went to Jones's Beach on Long Island, and they invited us to their house. And they gave us tickets to a Broadway show at Radio City Music Hall.
Big deal for them guys from Beaver Falls.
So Joe Walton is the first Broadway Joe from Beaver Falls.
Look, thank you so much. Continued success, and it was a joy to have you here.
I'm glad to be here.
All right,
I
there he is.
appreciate the invitation.
Ed DeRose, we got more here tonight. Hall of Achievement, getting ready for the Larry Bruno Foundation dinner. It's coming up July 29th. Tickets available at magiccoach.org at the club at Shadow Lakes.